advocate because obviously I just gave you guys my take at the beginning of the show and now that I don't think Kevin Huerter's a 3. But hear me out here. Do you think the Kings are going to run with more shell and more 2-3 zone? I think they're
No,
going to have to, honestly.
they're not going to. But
You think they're going to run man? There's no way they run
Mhm.
man. With a
I do.
majority, I mean, I think with their starting lineup, they can. With Sabonis, Keegan, Barnes, Herter, and Fox, they can run man. But if you're going to move Monk into the starting lineup or even Davion in the starting
Well,
lineup,
Monk's going to start.
you think
I
Monk's
just want
starting day one?
Monk's going to start day one.
So then is
And
Keegan out of the starting lineup?
no, it's going to be Fox, Monk, Harrison, Keegan, and Sabonis.
That is not happening.
It's going to happen. I'm just telling you what it is. It's not what I want, but it's what it
So
is going
you're
to
telling
be.
me that you believe that a guy that they just traded, Justin Holiday, Mo Harkless, was it a first round pick to acquire a guy with that much money on his deal? Oh, they're not going to start him. They're going to start the guy
He's
that they
coming
paid
off the
2 years,
bench.
19 million.
He's coming off the bench, yes, to play with Davion.
But Monk can come off the bench and play with Davion. It's the same thing.
Nope. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it I'm not going to say it's guaranteed, but they pretty much promised him he's going to start next to Fox when they signed him. And they signed him before they made the trade.
So then let's look at it as a bigger mindset then, because I don't think you make that trade for Kevin Huerter to make him come off the bench. We've seen it already from the Kings multiple times that they're okay not starting rookies. Do you move Keegan off the bench since his ideal role seems to be at the 4 spot, and they
Well, he
keep
is playing before.
right, and they keep pushing the narrative that Kevin Huerter can play 3? Is it gonna be Fox, Monk, Huerter, Barnes, and Sabonis?
I think that might be your closing lineup, right? Like those five might close the game. They probably will, but it's gonna be Monk and Fox. That's your starting backcourt, and it's
I
his
don't believe.
spot to lose.
I
It's his
just
spot
don't
to
believe
lose.
that. I mean, you may be right. You may have closer intel than I do on Monk being that starter. I personally just don't believe you make that big of a deal to acquire a guy on that contract in Kevin Herter and not
I
say that
mean,
he's your starter.
it's not that big of a deal. They gave up two nobodies and a protected first. I don't think it's that big
Yeah,
of a
but
deal.
you gotta think you don't think it's that big of a deal because I do. You give up not only a first, but you've chained yourself, you've handcuffed yourself to the Hawks
Yes.
for
Yes.
multiple
For
years
sure. For
until
sure.
that trade is actually followed through. They have 3 years in a row before that deal goes over, and then you have to wait on that third year. Then you're giving
But
up two
Malik Monk
seconds.
doesn't come over the day before and doesn't re-sign with the Lakers to come be a bench player on the Kings.
But
I'm sorry, but he
even if he
doesn't.
comes off the bench, you don't think he's getting 25 minutes a game?
He's gonna start, bro.
If
That
they're
was the
if they
promise. That was the promise, and that's what he's gonna have to lose the starting job. And Kevin is more likely to accept his role off the bench, and if he's better, he'll eventually start. But for the beginning of the season, it's gonna be Malik Monk and Fox. I guarantee it. It'll
oh
be
no.
Malik Monk and Fox.
The Charles Barkley guarantee, huh? I
I guarantee it.
guarantee. Uh,
I guarantee it.
Skips in the chat. Skip. He says, I think
What's up, Skip?
he said, I think whoever Coach Brown will decide who starts, and he's a defensive coach, and Herter plays better defense than Monk. I
I
mean,
agree. I I'm agreeing with like both of you, but Monk will start the season.
I'll be honest, Leo. I mean, I don't even care that you have the intel. I would make a strong bet that Kevin Herter starts over Malik Monk, or they start together. It's one of
God,
those
if
two
they
options.
start together, oh no, please. They're gonna get rocked defensively every night.
That's
Can you imagine that? Oh my god.
I think Fox and Monk together is a very quick backcourt. Let's say most folks say Herter is a starter. I agree. Fox and Monk want to play together. Better chemistry. I mean, are we saying better chemistry because they played together almost 4 years ago in college, 5 years ago? I mean, maybe. Look, I get that a Fox Monk backcourt is exciting, right? That's fun to think about. That's fun to watch.
And to be clear, Kevin's not. I don't think he's like a better player than Monk. I think they're both right there. Like it's not a big deal if one starts over the other. Like it truly isn't to me.
I think it just comes down to size and defensive ability. I think that's all it comes down to. Because if you're gonna look at straight defensive numbers, I could be wrong, but I believe the last time I checked, Monk was
No,
actually statistically better than
no,
Kevin
he's
Huerter
not.
last year at position. No, at position defending.
Kevin is like Kevin isn't terrible. Like Kevin's
He's
actually solid,
just a bad
but
defender. He moves his feet. He can
you
stay in
know
front. He's
it's
just a bad defender. He's not good. He's just bad. Like
yeah, he's not
he's like average, I guess. You know what I mean? Like if I had to be nice, he's an average defender.
like who's the better 3 level scorer? Malik Monk is. Like I I think there's
He has
more
a better
upside
handle.
there.
Yeah, he has a better handle. But I like him as a microwave. I just personally don't think you make a trade tying yourself and handcuffing yourself to a player for 3 years on a first round pick while also giving up, your expiring contracts that are arguably another strong asset to your team, being able that you could bring in a bigger name player with those expiring contracts and you don't start that player. You know what I mean? And obviously you're going to see a ton of like Skip
Who
says,
will
you're going to
accept the role better? Kevin or Monk? Knowing understanding guys' personalities. Who's going to accept the role better coming off the bench? Kevin is. It's just that simple, bro. Like you're not leaving the Lakers, LeBron James and AD, understanding that they need shooting and that Monk was really good, but again, AD was hurt all year long. Like he's not coming here to come off the bench. Like it's his spot to lose, bro. It's just that simple.
It could be. Like I said, you may have a closer intel than I do in terms of that situation. Just me personally, I don't see how you make that type of deal and you don't start that guy that you're paying all that money to over a 2 year, $19 million player. And you can say, oh, he left LeBron James and the Lakers, but he's guaranteed 25 minutes per game. That's for sure happening. He's going to get 25 minutes per game because of what he can do as a scorer. And on top of that, if you have him come off the bench, there's a good chance he has the ball in his hands more than Davion ever does. And he's capable of doing a lot more as that spark plug off the bench. And you can still fluctuate offense with him and Fox at times. Like, why wouldn't you buy into that role where you're the guy when you're on the court? You're the guy when you're on the court. Ellis